I'm the one who helped your friend.
Helped? You mean reintegration? Killed him.
Patrick Klepek, let's talk about Reghabi and what is going on with his character, right? So we've just watched season 2, episode 3 of Severance, and I wanted to share what we know about Reghabi and share an extremely crackpot, ridiculous theory about Reghabi, and I'm curious what you think about it, okay? So, according to the Severance wiki, Reghabi is a Lumen employee who claims to have installed Mark Scout's Severance chip and performed the first successful reintegration procedure on Peter Kilmer. And overall, I would say she seems like an employee that has lost the passion and belief for Lumen's mission. Because at one point she says to Mark, I think, Mark's innie only exists because of you, and for all intents and purposes, he is you. Do you really think he's different down there, combs his hair differently, laughs at different jokes? Maybe he loves it, but maybe he doesn't. Maybe he dreams every day about clawing his way to the surface. You wouldn't know. You'll never know. You brought him into this world without his permission, based on your own desire for emotional convenience, end quote. Which, by the way, reminded me about how, like, some people treat kids. You know, like, kids can't choose whether to come into this world. You brought them into this world for your own emotional convenience. Very anti-natalist, potentially, Reghabi might be. Anyway, Reghabi was in contact with Petey via a cell phone that Petey left in Mark Scout's basement. After Petey died, Mark found the phone and made contact with Reghabi. Reghabi has also mentioned a few things about reintegration over the years. She says, like, quote, the procedure didn't kill Petey if he had followed my post-op instructions and not simply run away at the first sign of sickness. ... end quote. So, like, Petey ran away. He was presumably was supposed to do other things, not run away after reintegration. So, like, you know, now that Mark has been reintegrated, maybe the post-op instructions will come into play.
Mm-hmm.
We also know that Mark met with Reghabi in one of Gans College's old buildings. So, like, Mark used to teach at this college called Gans College. Reghabi got we know from the security guy, Grainer, that she's using one of the old buildings to do her little experiments, and that the administration is looking the other way. She convinced them to look the other way. So, like, that she's in one of the old buildings. And apparently they're like these abandoned buildings at this college that people are just cool with people squatting in and doing random shit in. Doesn't sound like a very well-run college to me. So in the first season, Mark meets with Reghabi at Gans College, like in one of the old buildings. They kind of exchange some information, and then Grainer shows up, right? And there's this weird scene where Grainer, like, comes in, and Grainer's like, "Hey, who are you talking with, Mark?" And before Mark can even explain, Reghabi thunks Grainer on the back of the head with a bat and kills him. And Mark is really upset. She's like, "Oh my God," you know, like, and she's like, "Don't throw up. It has DNA in it. You know, don't throw up. You'll get your DNA." I don't know why she's worried about Mark's vomit DNA, considering she just bashed a guy in the head.
blood, as far as I can tell, also contains DNA.
There's blood everywhere. You know, like, they're walking all over it. But anyway, Reghabi attacks Grainer from behind and kills him with a baseball bat. So, like, what we know from that is that Reghabi is, like, fearing for her life, right? Ex-Lumen employee, she's out doing reintegration, she's fearing for her life, and isn't even, like, confronting Grainer, just literally, without saying a word, just executes him right out the gate. And then Reghabi said, "Hey, like, I'll contact you, I'll find you," right? That was basically the last we heard of Reghabi at the in season 1. Then she shows up all of a sudden where Mark's in the middle of nowhere. Now, like, it is possible that Mark said where he's driving to in season 2, episode 3 of Severance. I don't think he did. Like, I think, like, in the most charitable interpretation, he drove to Gans College again. Like, this is an abandoned building in Gans College, and Reghabi's there. I don't think the show explains that, though, right? Like, you and I didn't catch that, right? Okay. Here is David Chen's crackpot theory about Reghabi, Patrick Klepek. Okay, I want to hear what you think.
This is your theory.
This is my theory. I want to, you know. And I want to hear what the audience thinks of this. decodingtv@gmail.com. Leave a comment in the YouTube section. Like, I want to hear what people think about this. But this is me really going off the deep end here. I think Reghabi is not a real person.
Okay.
Here are some things we know have been true about Reghabi. She never interacts with more than one person at a time. Right? I mean, she bashed Grainer's skull in with Mark there. But we never see anyone other than Mark interact with her. Now, she had been in communication with Petey they had cell phone conversation. That's the only part that really doesn't make sense about my theory. Is like,
let's just conveniently ignore it. Keep
conveniently
driving
ignore
it down the tracks.
But she shows up randomly in the right place. She used to work at Mark's school. I think Reghabi is either some extension of Mark or a memory, like Mark's memory of an actual person, or like implanted memories of a person from this other person that live in Mark's head that allows him to like be both people. Because otherwise it's just weird the way Reghabi has showed up in the show. We know that she's interacted with Petey, but I'm sure I could figure out a way to explain how that all happens if I really tried hard enough. She doesn't talk with Grainer at all. She just like bops him in the head. It's like, it's possible this is a Tyler Durden situation where Mark is both people and he's the one that's doing the reintegration. And that would also explain why he's so important for Cold Harbor, because maybe he knows a lot of stuff. And yeah, that's what I got. And that would explain why Reghabi is able to show up in the middle of freaking nowhere and it is completely unremarked upon. It also would explain why like there's this weird edit where Reghabi and Mark are like at the car and then all of a sudden they're at the basement and then it feels like they've already had a conversation between them. Like it would explain a lot of editing choices in the show. Like why Reghabi has shown up in the way that she has shown up. Again, the stuff with her and Petey, like, that's a lot harder.
It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate for your theory.
It really goes against your theory. That said, Patrick Klepek, what do you think? Is Reghabi an actual human being in the universe of the show?
I think probably, but I'm with you that like the show's deliberate, right? And I think it uses the surprise appearance of Reghabi to sort of shock you. You're not really sure what to make of it. And then everything that happens after that is so quick, right? Like Reghabi shows up. She's banging on the car. Yeah. Open up the door. He really doesn't want to open the door. He's sort of weird about opening the door.
Right.
But eventually opens the door. Lets her in. They just go to this basement. Procedure just happens. Everything's sort of, it's not going to shock me if, I don't know that it's exactly what your theory is posturing, but that there, episodes later in this show, like part of the reason this moment is happening so early is because in the same way that 5 months isn't 5 months, and then we get like a cut that's like, well, here's also what was going on. It would not shock me if during this season we get, and also here is what was going on that fills in a lot of gaps over like, just why would she be there? Like that, that part is like so obviously confounding for her to just show up to this car.
So it's either bad writing or Reghabi's not a real person. Those are the only two options.
I guess I'm trying to, in the spirit of hoping for an excellent show, that it's not bad writing, because it just doesn't make sense that
because the writing is so good at other times in the show that it's like, why would the show do something like that? I think there's something about Reghabi that's like
it's off.
It's off.
That's off. I agree that there is something off. I don't know that I agree that it's a facet of his imagination, but I agree that there is something off and there's like major shoes to drop. And that I rewatched that scene you mentioned about the DNA bit, and there's so much shock that's happening in watching that original sequence that I don't think that line landed. But here, rewatching it detached from the shock of the scene,
right?
Like, wow, what does she give a shit if he throws up? Like, I don't
line, right? Like, why? There's just all these things that are like, it doesn't add up, really.
Yes. There's something very odd is going on. Yes.
Prove me wrong, world. Prove me wrong. Reghabi is not real. And we'll find out, hopefully, by the end of the show.
Reghabi's not real.
Hashtag Reghabi is not real. All right. We'll see whether or not I'm right. Let us know what your theories about Reghabi are at decodingtv@gmail.com, or let us know in the comments on YouTube. Hey everyone, David Chen here. Thank you so much for watching that video from Decoding TV. If you want to get an audio version of the show, all you got to do is go to podcast.decodingtv.com. And if you want to support what we do, get ad-free episodes of the podcast and also bonus episodes of the podcast, go to decodingtv.com and become a paid member. Of course, you can also like and subscribe for more. We appreciate it. Thanks. See you later.